This is the third part of our lesson on calculating slope, and we are going to take a look at calculating slope without using a graph. So in this case, using 2 points. So we said on our previous part where we were graphing that slope is rise over run, so how much up or down it's going, divided by how far it's moved side to side. And we also used the formula delta y, the change in y, divided by delta x. Now, change is how much it's gone up or down by. And in order to calculate the change in y, you can actually do that algebraically by taking 2 points, looking at their y values, and subtracting them to find their difference. So if I had 2 points, I'm going to call one x1, y1, and another point, I'm going to call that x2, y2. You could find the difference by subtracting your y values, so y2 minus y1, and then get the difference in your x's by subtracting your x values, so x2 minus x1. You could have done y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. It doesn't really matter as long as you do the same order on the top and the bottom. So traditionally we do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're going to try to do some of these questions by calculating instead of using a graph. And it's a good skill to have in your pocket because you don't always have a graph. Sometimes the numbers are really large and they don't fit well on a graph, or they might be decimals or fractions, which are also very difficult to graph. So it says calculate the slope of each line, given 2 points on each line. So I'm going to start with the point 2, 7 and 8, 9. So before I even start the question, the first thing you want to do is designate which of those 2 points is x1, y1, which one is x2, y2. So I usually like to just let the first point be point 1 and the second point be point 2. And every point has an x part, and every point has a y part. And they go in alphabetical order, so the x is first, the y is second. So I'm going to let the first point be x1, y1, and the second point is going to be x2, y2. And I like to do that because it helps me label which one is which. So I'm going to write down the formula. So I could write the word slope. The letter that you can use for slope is M. It's just a little bit less writing. It's entirely up to you. If you want to write the word slope, that's fine. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I am going to start with y2. So y2 is going to be 9. So I'm going to put that M equals 9, take away. Y1, let's put here, is going to be 7. So I'm going to subtract 7. Then on the bottom, I have x2, and I'm just looking for my pink highlighter. I found a green one. So I'm going to do x2, which looks exactly like the yellow. That's not very helpful. And that would be my 8 that's there. Take away, and then x1 is going to be that last number, which is a 2. So I did y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, so I ended up with 9 minus 7 over 8 minus 2. So from here, I'm just going to simplify the numerator and denominator. 9 take away 7 is 2. You can use a calculator if you need to. And then 8 take away 2 is 6. So our slope is 2 over 6. So if I was graphing this line, we would go up 2 and over 6 to get to the next point. Now, I could leave it as 2 over 6. 2 over 6 is correct, but I could also reduce it, which is always a good idea. 2 and 6 both divide by the number 2. So I can divide the top and bottom by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So you could say the slope is 2 over 6, but we could also say the slope is 1 over 3. And it's a little bit nicer if you reduce your fraction. It just looks a little bit better. So you can join me in the next video and we will do our next 2 examples.